All right, on this episode, we're going to talk about what it really costs to go roller cam lifters versus a flat tappet setup. Because the last video, obviously, multiple people were saying, we can't go roller because it's, $1,000 or $2,000, and that just simply isn't true. So we're going to just break down some numbers and see what it actually costs to go roller. Stay tuned. All right, so we'll just start with the basics. So we get $200 for a flat tappet. When we were doing them, we were charging most people $200 for, and we're going to use a small block Chevy for this example. And it'll vary a little, but it's still pretty close. So the first thing is, a flat tappet cam is $200. There are some cheaper, there are some more expensive, but the average is about $200. Our rollers, if you buy retail right off our website, hydraulic roller for a small block Chevrolet, step nose or flat nose, is $380. So that right there is a $180 difference. Lifters, if you buy a quality Delphi hydraulic flat tappet lifter, they're about $170. A set of Gatorman retrofit hydraulic roller lifters from us right on our website, $445. All right, so when you do a cam swap, if you're putting a performance cam in your engine, you got to buy push rods either way. So push rods here are $113, and they're $113 for a roller. So that's a net zero. Springs, successfully, we have done this multiple times. We have some for the small block Chevrolet, and for other stuff too, but we have some 300 lobe lift lobes, and because we get people all the time that call and say, hey, we want a stock cam for a small block Chevrolet, but we want a roller in a retrofit early, Gen 1 blocks. And so we have a whole series of lobes, and we got some really small stuff on up to some stuff that'll actually make some noise. And so you can, and again, we've done this several times. We have a Z28 spring kit that's good for 500 or 510 lift. It comes with springs, retainers, and locks. And that kit's like, I think it's $100 for the kit. So you can use that same kit right here if you select the right camshaft. Or, if you got a big hot rod, something crazy, flat tappet cam, and you're gonna need some more spring, well, you're gonna need some more spring over here too. So, I mean, you could do a $100 spring kit. You could do, we retrofit a lot of stuff with beehive springs, and you could do, like we use a pack 1218 in a lot of stuff. And so if you're building a motor in the first place, if you put a 100 long valve in it, like all our aluminum heads, even for mild stuff, we put a 100 long valve in, and we use a pack 1218, and we've got a retainer and a set of locks. It's a drop-in deal for most aftermarket aluminum heads. And if you don't mind, whatever, on stock heads, cutting the guides or whatever you need to do to make it work out, that system is, I want to say it's a little less than $300 for the pack springs, chrome moly retainers, and a set of hardened locks. So, so you could do a $300 spring kit over here or a $300 spring kit over here. So, so that's a moot point either way. So we're talking about in general, and again, this is going to vary from engine family to engine family, and I'll get into that a little bit too. But overall, we're talking about so these two together is $455. Now, if you use one of our retro ductile iron cores, you're not going to have to buy a distributor gear. If you have another engine family, whatever, a Ford or something that you end up with a billet steel cam, you're going to have to add a distributor gear. And I think they're roughly 75-ish. So you can add 75 to that bottom line. So you're still under $550 to go roller. And the moral of the story is, the moral of the story is if you don't go roller and you kill a cam, most likely you're going to destroy the engine, depending on how bad it is. But we see them often that have murdered the cam. The iron has went through all the bearings, has killed the crank, killed all the bearings, and then obviously all the oil journals, all the galleries are just full of iron. So the whole engine has to be disassembled. It's got to be cleaned, whatever machine work has to be done, and then it's got to be reassembled. So for less than $550, to me, that's a no-brainer. Now, if you've got, for instance, you've got, say you got a FE Ford, all right, the lifter's the same price as a small block Chevrolet, $445. We got them on the shelf. The camshaft, instead of being $380, is like $470. So it's, what is that? It's $95 more than a small block Chevrolet. And you'll see that with some of the, more odd packages, but the lifter is essentially the same money. Push rods are the same money. I don't care what push rod you want. If it's 5/16 80 wall, whatever length, they're $113 for 16 of them. And we got anywhere from like 6.8 to, like 8.5 inches in stock. So if you need a push rod, we probably got it. And a lot of times, like for instance, we did a 440 Mopar here just not long ago, and exact same problem. The guy had the motor built 3 times, flat tappet cam every time. It died every time. They followed all the instructions. They used every kind of different oil you think of, and all of that jazz, and it murdered the cam 3 times. So when it got here, he's like, I want this thing fixed. I want a roller in it. I ain't going through this no more. So when we tore it down, all the iron had obviously murdered all the bearings, and so we had to turn the crank and do the whole deal. But they had a spring on it, and I don't remember the exact specs, but the spring was good enough for a small roller. So we ground just a mild roller for it. It's a street car. They're going to drive it every day. We ground a little small, like maybe like a 220, 226, and I don't know, 500 lift or something like that. And we used the stock factory shaft rocker system. We put a push rod in it. We put lifters, we put a cam, and on those, it uses a thrust button like a small block Chevrolet. So we just made a bronze thrust button for it. And it was relatively economical compared to the alternative. And so it's just not these $1,000, $2,000 that people says it is all the time. It's really inexpensive in the grand scheme of things to go roller. And if you can, you just almost crazy not to. And you know, and there's those guys that, you know, they've been doing this for 135 years and they put in 8,000 a week and they've never seen a failure. You know, if you're that guy, great, you keep going, and you know, we love you for it. But for the rest of the world, this is a viable option, and it's really not that much money, and you don't have to buy it all at the same time. And you know, you can skip a couple of nights out with the boys, or you know, 2 weeks worth of Burger King trips, and you can buy a roller. If you've got to buy flat tappet stuff in the first place, you can go roller in most applications for well under $600. So I just want to put that out there because again, I just seen so many comments in the last video of why people can't go roller, and it's just not accurate. So if you need to convert from a flat tappet to a roller, I've got pretty much everything you need for most applications on the shelf. Give us a call, check out the website. We'd be happy to help you if we can. Thanks so much. Have a great day.